It's here. Yes. We got bust a move.
Bust a Move is a Taito production starring Bub and Bob from the famous game Bubble Bobble. Bust a Move is a multiplayer, as in versus, puzzle game where you actually line up bubbles to pop when there is more than 3 in a row. That includes 3 as well. As you can see here, the first level, you start off with a pointer to show you how the things work. And you don't see that pointer again until you die at least once. But it is a pretty simple game, so you should be able to get pretty far without falling. Now there is a variety of levels to them. Most of the time it does change the backgrounds, as well as it adds extra bubbles to add extra difficulty. After the first few levels of just playing standard, they will introduce the first actual bubbles that are different. Now the first ones they introduce you to are these flames that you hit a single time and it engulfs everything around them in flames. The game makes it pretty easy for you to get through and understand them. On top of everything, you can avoid entirely doing a level by just destroying the top bubbles instead of destroying the bottom bubbles. You are timed and pointed for everything. And with things like these lightnings here, it makes it a lot easier. Though, in later levels, you will find that the lightnings actually are a bad choice to go after. Now, as for the actual controls, it controls very well. The game itself is pretty fast-paced, but the top does not actually move down until you fire a certain amount of bubbles. The game is also relatively forgiving, because you do get 6 continues, and at the end of the continues, you actually get a continue code, so that if you get a game over, you can actually start again back where you were, at least as close as possible to it. Altogether, the game looks and feels amazing. It's very beautiful graphics, very cutesy characters, and surprisingly for the Super Nintendo, a vast variety of different backgrounds and configurations. The game itself is relatively long, especially if you're not the best at bubbles for like the puzzling of it, but it's enjoyable. And even a child such as my 5-year-old can actually play it, so it's relatively user-friendly on top of everything else. Now, as you progress through the game, you'll notice that the puzzles get harder and harder to solve. My concern has always been the 20s. I've always had a concern getting past them. As you can see here, it stacks up relatively quickly. I ended up using all of my continues before I could get too far into the game. I only got to about the 24th area, which is in the sand dunes, before I got a game over. Now the game is pretty fun as a multiplayer game as well. It is versus, so it is based on time. I would show a demonstration of it here, but I didn't have anyone to play with. Where in single player, when you knock things down, it goes away. In multiplayer, any bubbles that you knock down that you don't pop goes onto your opponent's board, making it a pretty hard game for them. And you can set different handicaps as well.
I'm going to do something for this game I've never done before. I'm going to give it 5 out of 5 potatoes.
It's a relatively enjoyable game. I would
recommend it very highly to anyone. It's pretty cheap. I got my copy for about $11 plus shipping and handling, so not about $20 altogether. It's very enjoyable. It's very different from the first Bubble game. I think the only connection really is the characters. It seems like it was made to be a different game, sort of like Zuma almost. Very fun. Five potatoes. Um, I noticed, if you noticed, I changed my shirt. I was feeling kind of weird. Anyway, thank you for watching today. This has been Hippokittie with Throwback Thursday, and remember, always follow your dreams. Peace, peace.